If I asked you to name the most famous microphone for recording guitar cabs, you'd probably say the SM57. And you'd be right, it is relatively affordable at around $100 and it is the industry standard. But Shure are saying that they can do better. Shure have just released something that is definitely not an SM57. In fact, it looks a bit like an electric toothbrush for giant beavers. This is the Nexadyne 5, and in this video, we're going to find out how it stacks up against the SM57, and if it's better, or just a new shiny version of something that was already good enough. In this video, I'm going to test out these mics with some clean riffs, some crunchy riffs, and some high-gain down-tuned riffs. And I also took this to a Skunk Anansie concert, and you can hear Ace himself playing through it. That's a nice little treat for me. I'm going to use my Fender Deluxe Reverb as per usual, and that's going to go through this Palmer 1x12 cab. And inside is a vintage 30 speaker from Celestion. And let's set both mics up together, shall we? They are the same distance from the speaker in that dimension. Also, they're the same distance, well, kind of in the same place. You can't put two things in the same place at the same time, of course, but the speakers being a circle, that should be the same sound. Those were air quotes then. Now, this is not 100% scientific, but as a guitar player, not a sound engineer, that makes sense to me. I'm not making excuses for my recording technique. I just think that's obvious, right? Okay, we're going to go clean first with the D'Angelico Bedford. And I'll show you on screen which is the Nexadyne 5 and which is the SM57. So that's back-to-back chords. Let's put a lead line on this, see if you hear any difference there. Now, it would be silly of me to comment on that because I can't hear the mics. I can hear the cab next to me. So I'll play the rest of the sound samples while you make a decision, and then I'm going to listen on my monitors to see what I think the difference is between the SM57 and the Nexadyne 5, and which one I would stick on my cab. Right, let's have some crunch. The first time you're going to hear it through mic A. The second time you're going to hear it through mic B. The third time you'll hear it and it will cut between mic A and mic B, and then I'll let you know which mic was which mic. Mic A and mic B. Of course you're going to try and guess which one is which, but also add on which one did you prefer. That's the real test to see which one is your favorite mic. So your past biases of loving the SM57, including for myself, are not coming to play in this. So, in that one, if you preferred mic A, you preferred the SM57. If you preferred mic B, that was the Shure Nexadyne 5, the new one. So whichever way, you could be a winner. Now that you know which mic is which, here's both of them again on a lead sort of sound. gotta say, I love that sound. I don't know how it sounds to you, but it sounds amazing in the room. Let's switch it up even more and go high gain, and for the first time ever, 7 strings. Have fun guessing. I'm going to have fun playing. It's the first time I've ever played 7 string in a video. I'm excited. Right. Before we had mic A was this, and mic B was this. This time, we've switched it around, so that should also help your cognitive bias, I think is what they call it. So if you thought you knew what you thought you knew, maybe you didn't. So the intention here is not to try and get you to buy the Nexadyne 7. It is to show how different it is to the SM57, and maybe you've already got the mic that you want. I'm going to find out in a minute when I have a listen. But let's just do a little bit more high gain riffage, and this time you know which mic is which. Amazing fun. Right, now, you've made choices, you've heard the sound samples, I haven't. So I'm going to go and listen to them at the mixing desk over there, and we'll see which ones that, well, I prefer, and maybe some other notes. Okay. To me, the Nexadyne seems a lot more hi-fi than the SM57. The 57 sounds like a 57, and I'm so used to that sound, but it sounds kind of muffled and kind of blanket over it a little bit. And yes, of course, this is with no EQ or anything like that, although I have dropped off, sorry, there is EQ on this. I've done a low cut at about 80, just to get rid of rumble. You wouldn't want that in guitar anyway. I've also done the same to both mics, so it's still a scientific test. For me, just listening at that like that, the Nexadyne wins in terms of which sound I prefer. It sounds processed, it sounds ready-made, whereas the SM57 sounds like you need to EQ it, which you can, and if you have done in the past, you're probably skilled in this. But if you've never done things like this, right now it seems worth getting the Nexadyne 5. Let's have a listen to the crunch sounds. Oh no, I've got some sort of bluesy, some cleanish lead lines. Right, here we go. I need to listen again. Okay, I've decided. Now, the Nexadyne seems to have more warmth, more roundness in the bottom end. And again, it sounds ready-made, ready to mix, rather than the 57, which is an old mic and a cheap mic. Sounds like it needs a bit more warmth. It's EQ again. I'm jumping over my words trying to find things. The SM57 needs to be EQ'd, whereas the Nexadyne 5 doesn't, just to hear the guitar. And the Nexadyne 5 sounds more like what I heard in the room. It's a better representation. For that, I'm hearing the honkiness of the SM57, and I can definitely tell it is a 57. For the Nexadyne 5, there's low end there that I don't want there. There's information down in those low frequencies that are rumbling, kind of. I don't know if you can hear that because you might be listening on a phone, but I can hear information in the Nexadyne 5 that I don't like, so I would want to cut that out. I still think I prefer that sound over the 57. So let's hear the lead line crunch. Is that dirty bottom end still there? The low end that I didn't like in the crunchy chords is gone out of the Nexadyne 5. It's not there in the SM57 at all, but the 57 sounds compressed and sort of two-dimensional. The Nexadyne 5 sounds more 3D, more open, airier. Let's go high gain. Right, I think I'm just saying the same thing in different ways. The SM57 is a classic sound, yet compared to the Nexadyne 5, it sounds dull and boring and lifeless. And yes, we can EQ the SM57 to open that up, to make it sound more like something that is pleasing to the ear. But what I think Shure have done with the Nexadyne 5 is do that already and have something that you can just plug in, stick on an amp, and away you go. And I've kind of proven that by taking it to the Skunk Anansie concert. So a little bit of background, I did a video with Ace at the Skunk Anansie concert recently where we took a look at his rig and checked out all his pedals and everything. It's a brilliant video. If you haven't seen it already, it might be on the channel, it might not. If it is, I'll link the card up there. If not, subscribe and you'll come back to it later. The point is, I took the Nexadyne 5 blind and deaf to that show and put myself under a bit of pressure thinking that I wanted to add a mic to his cab that I'd never heard before. Let's have a listen to that. So there's no comparison there, but there's also no EQ apart from that low cut and no compression. So you're hearing something that I put on Ace's real live rig, and they had bunches of mics going on, and I'm extremely happy with that sound. I can tell you that had I put a 57 on that, and I was trying to release a video that sounded good, I would have had to EQ it. I could not have left the raw signal there, which again is the key for me comparing these two microphones. There are some more things to talk about apart from sound. Firstly, well, size and weight. When I first picked up the Nexadyne, I really thought it was a heavy mic and heavier than the 57. It's not. It's about the same sort of weight. It's also about the same sort of length in total, and the bottom parts are the same. Of course, when you look at it like that, you can see that this is a much bigger mic. And the size obviously tricked me into thinking that it was heavier than the 57. Another plus point for the Nexadyne is that when you have a 57 on a cab, it sticks out that much. When you have the Nexadyne on a cab, it sticks out that much. So that doesn't seem like much, but when you've got a cramped stage or a cramped recording studio, that little bit of extra space just there would make a difference. On stage, I've kicked a 57 off a stand, and in this studio, I've walked past the cab and knocked it off the position that I've marked it as. That wouldn't happen with this, and it doesn't happen with a Sennheiser E906 either, which is why I often use a 906 rather than the 57, purely for that space reason. Another thing to consider is the 57 rolls a lot. The Nexadyne doesn't. Well, it does, but it stops itself. And I know this sounds silly, but I've had a 57 roll off the desk a few times and damage the floor. Yeah, I know it's a joke, the 57 being built like a tank. This one, it kind of reminds me visually of the PD series from Shure, which is their budget stuff. But I did actually accidentally drop this earlier, and it worked fine afterwards. I don't think I caught it on video, but I did drop it. I've dropped this many times and nothing's happened, apart from the floor breaking. This one, also survived. It happened before I started recording the video, so it definitely still works. I love that rolling thing. No rolling, rolling. To talk geekiness for a moment, they are both dynamic microphones. They do not need phantom power or anything like that. You just plug them straight in with XLR. The 57 is a cardioid pattern. This is a super cardioid pattern, meaning that when you're miking something, you're going to get more rejection of the other things going on around it, the off-axis stuff, although there is a little bit behind that you're going to get, so you need to be careful what's going on in the room. The 57 will pick up stuff to the sides of it as well. That can be either a good thing or a bad thing, depending on what you're trying to achieve. That is going to get you more focus on the sound that's in front of it, and it will also be a bit more forgiving of where you place it on the cab. So if you're a little bit, I don't know, perfectionist about your cab placing, which I didn't measure, I eyeballed it where I normally put a mic, that's going to be easier to mic up a cab than the 57. If you're a gearhead, I know that YouTube and the market sort of inclines us to go for the new and shiny. I am not saying the 57 is dead or anything like that, although that might have been the thumbnail or title. I am saying that if I had to choose between these two and I was just picking something up to get a sound immediately what I needed, that would be it. If I wanted a certain sound and I knew the cab, I knew the rig, I knew the gear that was being used, I might still go for the 57. If I was on a slightly tighter budget, I would still go for the 57, because this is 1.5 times more expensive than this. You can't go wrong with the 57, but you can improve it. And I'll leave that with you right there. A final test for you, the voice, because it is a dynamic microphone, therefore we should be able to use it for vocals. This is the Shure SM57 versus the Shure Nexadyne 5 comparison video. Like and subscribe. This is the Shure SM57 versus the Shure Nexadyne 5. Like and subscribe. So I've done no further processing on that. That'll be as they are gain-wise and EQ-wise out of the box. A big thanks to Thomann for sending out this and sponsoring the video and allowing me to compare it to my trusty 57. If you want to get either of these mics, or indeed both of them, there are links to Thomann in the video description. Go and click those. And while you're down there, comment your favorite mic and if you would splurge the extra cash for the new and shiny Nexadyne 5. And I'll see you down there. Bye-bye!